So being in Beirut, I get in the car in the morning with the two UN civil servants who are going to drive north, and I'm going to ride along with them as part of observing their mission and getting to go and see the UN camps and facilities and schools that they were operating and coming to inspect. And so we drive north out of Beirut. We go past the encampments where the U.S. Marines were. There were several hundred U.S. Marines who were there as part of this international peacekeeping force that were largely being kept in their encampment. But later that same year, a truck bomb would go off in there, killing several hundred of them, and in fact driving the international peace force from Lebanon. We go past that. We come up to the Syrian military lines. The tough Syrian troops have come into Lebanon, cut the country in half, keeping a cordon there. We have to go through, identify ourselves. So they're used to seeing the UN and the UN flag. We get waved through. We next come up to Tripoli, open city, run by warlords. There are guys with bandanas driving around in jeeps with 50 caliber machine guns. Who knows who's who, but it's a city that's going on and operating, and we go there and we see these, forces, militias through Tripoli, and now we're heading north up to places called Badawi and Nar el-Bared. And Badawi and Nar el-Bared are towns. You drive into them, they look like little cities, but they are Palestinian refugee camps with UN schools and UN health facilities, all Palestinians. And to go there, though, the Palestinian PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization, run by Yasser Arafat, is in control. And they have checkpoints on the highway. And if you're going to go into the Palestinian area, like us, we have to have an escort. So this has all been arranged. The UN civil servants have done this before. We stop at the first checkpoint. Our escort gets in, says hello to everybody. We go through the first checkpoint, go through the second checkpoint, and now we go into these towns and going around and inspecting things, looking at the school. And we get into the second one, and our escort is explaining what's going on. And in fact, Yasser Arafat is bringing all of his forces that had been dispersed all over the Middle East back to Lebanon. And he's reconstituting them as a force here north of Tripoli. And the troops are arriving on ships and getting off and bivouacking. And I'm, hearing all these names, Abu Jihad and others who are number 2 and number 3 to Arafat are there on the ground. I don't want to look like a spy writing things down, so I'm memorizing all of these details. And we go into Badawi, and we get out of the car, and we're walking around, and the UN guys kind of go to do their thing, and I'm just walking out by myself and looking around and taking it all in. And I'm about 100 yards or so from the UN school, and there's a little kind of like a night watchman's shed there in an open area. Looks like maybe it would fit 2 people, 3 at the most. And I watched this stream of people coming up, look like military people, going in there, one after the other. And I said, must be like a clown car. There'd be so many of them in there. But I figured out what it is. It was covering over an entrance to a tunnel. And this is where the military commanders are going in, going down the tunnel, which leads under the UN school. And this is where Yasser Arafat has his military command post for all these troops coming back. I walk up closer, I see the Red Crescent Society, and they're passing out military uniforms to young people who are being recruited and inducted into the PLO military service. Down the street, there's a sign, like a neon sign, of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, run by George Habash, another terrorist organization. So I've got all these details, all this information. Now it's time to leave. We get in the car with our PLO escort, heading out to the highway. We got to drive back to Beirut that night. We come up to the first checkpoint. We go wave through. We're now coming to the second PLO checkpoint. And I'm in the back with one of the UN civil servants. The other UN guy is driving, and the PLO escort sitting on the right front seat, the front of the Land Rover that we're in. And I hear him ask the driver, well, who's the other guy, meaning me in the back? Is he from headquarters in Vienna? And for whatever reason, this guy answers, oh no, he's from the US Embassy in Vienna. And out of the corner of my eye, I see the blood drain from the face of the PLO escort, who becomes, stunned and by all of this, and enraged, because it's clear to him, in his eyes, I'm a spy, and I'm here and have been looking at, seeing everything that's going on. And my mouth starts to get dry, my heart starts to race, because what's going to happen is he's going to turn me in at the checkpoint, because they'll drag me from the car. I've got my diplomatic passport in my pocket, so there'll be no question who I am, what I do. And other Americans who have been kidnapped in Lebanon, never been freed, all have been killed. Hezbollah, the Iranian-supported group, is here in the Bekaa Valley nearby. There's no one at the U.S. Embassy. No, I have no way of contacting them. No one to come and get me. No way. I'm out here all on my own. We come rolling up to the checkpoint. They tell them, roll down the window. And I'm just waiting. I'm waiting. This guy's going to tell them, this American spy in the back. And it was like in the movie Argo about escaping, helping Americans, hostages escape from Iran, where they have this moment at the airport where they think they're about to be discovered. This is my Argo moment. Time stands still. I can't breathe. And the guy doesn't say anything. And they wave us through. And we go down the road, we stop. The PLO escort gets out, glaring at me. And we continue down the road. I spent all the rest of the trip looking out the back window, expecting the PLO to be chasing us, stop us, capture me. The only thing I can figure about why he didn't say anything is that perhaps he calculated that he would get into trouble for having not checked carefully and for having brought this spy into the midst, and that he might suffer grave consequences, and that it was in his best interest to just be quiet, let me leave, no one else would ever know. I don't know that's the case. I think that's likely what happened. This incredible, tense moment where I thought everything on the line, and I might not ever return. I got back to Vienna. We made a report to my ambassador, called in the Israelis, gave him all this information about what was going on. A remarkable report. And I, in fact, was turning in reports about Lebanon from Vienna based on information I continued to get ahead of the American embassy in Beirut. They, in fact, complained and asked the State Department to tell me to stop reporting because I was beating them. But my experience when Lebanon was the most dangerous place on the face of the earth stays with me to this day.